So I'm here at PAX East 2016, and I'm sitting down again to talk with Mr. Craig Stern. We previously spoke about Telepath Tactics a few PAXs ago. That would be his strategy RPG. It was a fantastic game released on PC. Now this year he's showing off something new, a tabletop game. Mr. Stern, could you tell us a bit about your game?
Absolutely. I'm showing off a board game called True Messiah. It's a strategy game of surreal religious horror for 2 to 4 players.
That sounds very interesting. It's not too often I run into board games that are about religious horror. Could you tell us a little bit more about that aspect of the game?
Absolutely. As is my canon, it's a deterministic strategy game. The premise is basically this. A few decades ago, scientists developed a machine called the belief engine. It picks up on people's subjective beliefs and manifests them in reality. When they turn it on for testing, disaster strikes. Turns out there's way too many people who believe we're in the end times and the world is coming to an end. It makes it happen. Civilization crumbles. And out of the ashes rise these messianic figures who are in fact cult leaders that find that all of a sudden the belief engine is making everything they tell their followers come true.
That sounds terrifying. So now, how did you come up with this premise? I must know.
Gosh. Basically, I just have a strong personal aversion to the sort of postmodern notion that believing in something is enough to make it true. And I was like, what happens if that's actually the case? Let's come up with a nightmare scenario based on that sort of ridiculous philosophy. And so this is it. Like, you play one of these people where everything you believe comes real, and you use it to murder each other, just like ISIS.
Well, that sounds truly terrifying. I really like so I like that idea about you, basically Murphy's Law, but somehow worse. So now could you tell us a little bit about how it plays?
Absolutely. It's a little bit like a cross between Go and Dominion, with a little bit of Magic the Gathering thrown in. So there's a board that's 8 by 8. Depending on how many players you have, you may or may not use the entire board. Every player starts with a deck of 9 miracle cards and amasses coins, which are used at the end of each round to secretly bid on new miracles to add to your deck. As the game goes along, each player ends up with a unique deck with unique powers that sort of fit the character of their religious doctrine as it's developed over the game. At the same time, you're recruiting followers and building temples. Your positioning of your units on the board has economic effects in terms of your ability to recruit followers and build temples. If you see your opponent building temples, kind of like in StarCraft, with base building, you want to rush in and destroy it before it's actually built. The more temples you have, the more money you get, the more opportunities you have to pray with your followers to perform miracles, and the more opportunities you will have to recruit more followers. The more temples you have in general, the more ahead you're going to be throughout the game.
I see. So basically you have to maintain control over everything, right? Oh, that's very interesting. So now, is the game complete, or is it still being worked on?
I'm still making some final tweaks, but it's very close to complete. There are 4 assets left, art-wise. Otherwise, the art is complete. The miracles are complete. I've tested the hell out of it. It plays super well. The plan is, in a few months, to throw this thing on Kickstarter and do a manufacturing run.
Very cool. Now, so if some folks want to follow you on Twitter, for example, to find out when it's happening, who do they follow?
They would follow at Sinister Design, SINISTERDESIGN. Also, if you want to find out about True Messiah specifically, you can go to www.truemessiahgame, TRUMESSIAHGAME.com. And all the info is up there.
Now, what's the AOL keyword?
AOL keyword? I don't know.
Neither do I. But so how did you get, because I remember last time you'd made a video game, but now this is a board game, so what made you want to change?
Well, Telepath Tactics took 5 years to make. It was a very lengthy and difficult process. And after that, I was a little tired, and I was like, I want to do something quick. I know I have this board game that I designed back in college in 2003. I bet I could just fix it up, get some really nice, surreal, horrifying art for it, and then throw it on Kickstarter. And it's been like about 9 months of work getting it into shape, and it will probably be about a year before, total before it's on Kickstarter, which, compared to Telepath Tactics, super fast.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, so have you found that there are a lot of differences between working with the board gaming and video gaming communities?
Yeah, they're very different communities. It's interesting. In a lot of ways, the board game community is a lot smaller, and in some ways more conservative. Like there's a lot more of a focus on like family-friendly stuff. There are very, very few people making games like True Messiah with mature and somewhat, horrifying themes. For the most part, it's sort of family-friendly, kiddie fare, which is interesting coming from video games to see that sort of atmosphere.
Well, very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing True Messiah on Kickstarter someday. Mr. Stern, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Is there anything you want the folks at home to know?
Yes, you should go to truemessiahgame.com and sign up on our mailing list. We'll send you one notification ever. It'll just be an email when the Kickstarter drops, and that way you can get in on the game when it becomes available. I'm probably only going to do one print run of this thing, so if you miss it, you're going to miss it.
Awesome. Well, it's very nice talking to you, Mr. Stern. I hope you enjoy your PAX.